Hello guys, welcome to a new video, and today we will see how can we set up new environments in Windows Terminal, because um, it's actually very easy to set up your development environment using one terminal for everything instead of different terminals for different things. It completely doesn't make sense, and this this was, I guess, a disadvantage of Windows in the previous days, because you had one terminal, you had different terminals, one for managing your whole OS. You needed the command prompt, the PowerShell, and then you needed Sigvin, for your development stuff. But now it's no longer the case, because it has actually become crazy. But what I got to know about, a fun thing I got to know about this Windows Terminal thing, that you could also set up things like Python or Node, which is pretty amazing. And before that, I didn't knew that I could do something like this. And then I went through an article on medium.com, and it was actually pretty interesting. And they showed how you could do that thing. It's pretty simple. It's just if you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to do. And yeah, and then let's move to the fun part. So we just fire up the Windows Terminal right away, and there are actually two ways of doing this. One, by editing the json. If you're familiar with it, it's just a simple data file. And the second, by the GUI, which I will just move on to in a minute. But let's first see how can we do it with the json. So it's pretty simple. What you have to do is you have to copy the last. You don't have to type in something. It's pretty simple, and you have to the last ID. For example, I have Node over here. Node set it up, and then what I could do is that I could then change all the command line, the all this stuff. So what you have to write here is actually what this thing specifies is what the thing is, what the dependency is, which here it is Node. But then this command specifies that okay, this thing is using WSL, so it's the Linux version, and then this thing specifies the distro name, so this is the Ubuntu version. And thing I really liked about it is that you can have multiple versions of the same language or the same dependency, so I could use the Windows version of Node and the Linux version of Node and different Linux versions of Node at the same time, and you can even use two instances of the same distro and the same OS, which is kind of amazing. So here you can see I'm using WSL and using Node on Ubuntu on WSL, so you can just change it right over here, and you can just switch it to any other distro. So I have only Node installed on Ubuntu, so I will leave it at this. And this is the icon. So I have this in my downloads directory, and of course the name of this thing, so I could, you know, node for Ubuntu, and then you can, yeah. So the way I have set it, and you can just save it, and if I just fire the terminal once again, you can see node for Ubuntu, which is kind of amazing. And the way I would recommend is that use things, I would use WSL1 things, stuff like Python, which is usually more because WSL1 is less resource hungry, and since it doesn't run the whole kernel, and it's kind of in some ways a little fast, but that doesn't matter over here. So I would prefer use some WSL1 for Python, things like Python, and then WSL2 for the more complex things like Node. And this is essentially how I do it over here. So we can even do it using the GUI. So for example, you can edit it over here, and you can specify things over here. So I don't know, you could use Python too, and you can just specify it, which is very easy. You just copy the command for firing up Kali, and then you can just type in Python or Python 3 for Python 3, and you can just browse the icon. I don't have any icon over here, I guess. Also, like Python 2. Okay, I don't have Python 2 installed, so I guess so it's sudo apt install Python. I use Python 3, by the way. Everybody uses Python 3. I don't know, I think it comes pre-installed. I don't know. You can see it should theoretically work. Sorry for the slow internet connection. And when I first got a look at this thing, so I think this was pretty good for Windows users who wanted, people who want to develop on Windows. And because you can fix the if you want to fix something with Windows, you would use the PowerShell command prompt, and if you wanted to do your development stuff, you could use Linux. And for me, it personally didn't make sense on other operating systems, because you could first of all, they aren't as buggy as Windows, and if you wanted to solve something, you could do both of them with the same command line. But now it feels, I think it's now I have got the additional functionality of this thing. I think it's amazing. And I have also done same thing with my Linux instance and my OS X instance. And one more thing I wanted to talk about is all these distributions, they run off a single kernel, which is kind of amazing, because you don't have to load this same kernel twice or thrice, and you can just think about the overhead of doing all this with a virtual machine. So I don't know, I have so many distributions over here, so I don't know, I need, I don't know, 32 gigs or 64 gigs of memory to do this. But as you can see, I have 16 gigs of RAM, and this works just fine. So I don't know what's up with my internet connection, but I hope you enjoyed the video. really wanted to show it with the icon, but you get the idea of what I wanted. And this whole thing, it makes Windows. I really don't prefer programming on Windows, but this has kind of changed my mind. I'm still gonna stay with OS X and Linux, but this is actually pretty upgrade for Windows users who want forward for Sigwin and other things. You have to install Git differently and every other dependency differently. But now because of this, things have changed, and this is pretty much how you do it with a container. And so it's essentially there are two kernels, the Windows kernel for the NT stuff and the Linux kernel for all these distributions. So I think it's kind of cool, even though I think the NT kernel is still unstable. It's still shitty and it's still unstable, so I'm not switching to Windows anytime soon. But I really wanted to go over this, and I like this so much I wanted to add it to my Linux distros and even OS X, even though it doesn't have a good terminal for this. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video, and I'll see you in the next one.